Welcome back, guys. This week, in this series, we're going to be talking about anger, what it is, where it comes from, how it relates to sadness. In this video, in our culture, when we talk about anger, we usually talk about it with a negative connotation. Oh, that guy's so angry, it means he has issues. But I think when we learn about anger and what it truly is and how to manage it, how to master it, how to tame it, then we can see that it's actually a good thing. First up, though, you know how we start these? Our lips of discomfort. Where does anger come from? Looking a lot like anxiety. And there's going to be a lot of parallels between anger and anxiety. And that's not a coincidence. They're two fundamental emotions and we handle them and they have a similar structure. We'll get to that in another video, though. Anger, an emotional response, telling us there is an unmet need. There's a need out there that we need to get met. And really, the unmet is implied in need, so let's just say it's a need. It's a response, it's an emotional response saying, hey body, you know how anxiety told you to wake up? Anger tells you to stay focused, to stay motivated. And in fact, when we learn about anger, what it does to your body, it's very similar to what a stimulant or an amphetamine does to your body. Increased dopamine, focus. You don't need Adderall, you need Angerol. And because we like making our emotions seem more complicated than they are, because they feel complicated. We want to justify how complicated they feel. So let's also say this. Anger caused by a hurt, which is really just somebody or something, some institution out there taking away a need. It comes in, we feel angry. It's our body's response that says, hey, let's stay focused again. Let's get it done. Let's get this need met. Let's get this hurt just. And another way of saying this, injustice. This is the injustice emotion. Let's rectify this injustice. Let's make it right. And like anxiety, there's three things that we can do with anger. The first thing we're going to talk about in this video is, what I'm probably going to say, avoid. And just like with avoiding anxiety, defense mechanisms, rationalizations, making excuses, distraction. We distract ourselves from the anger, perhaps because we live in a culture that says it's wrong, and perhaps because we don't have the neurological capability to handle the neurological stress that is anger. So we distract ourselves. I don't really, need a girlfriend. It's a rationalization. I don't really need a girlfriend. I'll just spend 3 hours a day on Pornhub. And what does that lead to? What does 3 hours a day on Pornhub lead to? Sadness. It is sad, and it leads to sadness. Sadness is anger stored up. Sadness is unconscious. Here's our great dot of the line. It's unconscious anger. Freud was the first one to make this point, I think officially. He said that anger was turned inward. It was anger that we did nothing with. Essentially, that's what he said. But really it comes from Nietzsche. And Freud was influenced by Nietzsche a lot, so, that's no surprise. But Nietzsche talks about, what does the slave race do? What does the master race do? Not literally race, just a group of people. Don't want this video to get flagged. But what do these master and slave moralities, what do they do? Well, the trademark of the slave morality is to turn your anger in on yourself. Master morality, you put it out in the world. Put your anger out in the world. Preferably this way, but at least this way. Again, partially conscious, partially unconscious. That's on purpose. But what do we need to do to put it out in the world? To handle it in a masterful way? Well, feel the sadness. And like with anxiety, become aware of it. Group, meditation, journaling, attachments, talking about our sadness with other people in a mature way, becoming aware, listing out what you need. And I mean that, quite specifically. List out what you need on a sheet of paper. I like the word auditing your anger. We audit our anger, except that's too much like Scientology, so I don't use that word. But we go through our anger and like, what is specifically causing this? What injustices are out there? How have I been hurt? You don't cut yourself off from it. This is another rationalization. This is how we avoid, the most popular rationalization of anger that cuts ourselves off from, this is reality. This is reality. Everybody's God. How do we rationalize away the anger? How do we cut ourselves off from reality? Is gratitude. Hear that word a lot. CBT talks about it a lot. And what are we doing with gratitude? Is we're doing this. We are approximating this state without going through the discomfort of anger and looking at our needs and our hurts and the injustices out there, and without eventually, you know what I'm going to say, doing something constructive with the anger. This is out in reality's over here. You're out in la la land feeling grateful. Not that you never feel grateful for anything, but often when I see it used as a defense against this pain. The pain of becoming aware. Again, like squatting 300 pounds. It's a neurological load. You just have to train yourself to do it. Ever see somebody in a bar fight, it's clear that they've never been punched in the face? But what do? They're like, they're quaking. I mean, their face does that. It's like a weird sort of thing. You're like, what are you doing? It looks like they're on drugs. No, their body is responding to this state that they've never been in before. It's all about becoming aware that the anger is there, caused by the need, the hurt, the injustice, group, friends, journaling, myth, again. And this is it. And once we're in anger, a great place to be in, a powerful space to be in, emotion to have. Again, it's like a stimulant. It gets gets things done. This is motivation. You're on YouTube watching motivational videos. No. There is eons worth of motivation in here, even if you're not a typically sad or depressed guy. By the way, what's the difference between sadness and depression? Time, really. That's all it is, time. For about 3 or 6 months of sadness, it actually changes your brain state. And what once was a 0 now becomes a 1. So, a baseline is 0. You're sad for enough time, 3 months, maybe it's 6 months in some people, depending on how neurotic you are. Now -1 or -2 becomes the new normal. That's what depression is. What's the difference between depression and clinical depression? I don't know. Nobody really knows. I don't know what clinical depression is. I think we just say clinical depression because it distances ourselves from the depression. Instead of saying we're depressed, we say, oh, this is something I have. It's the way to objectify the depression. Like, oh, I'm not a weird depressed guy. I have clinical depression, though. And this is it. We become aware. A great story from a patient of mine. His name's Rocky. He was a heavyweight champion of the world, but he lost the title. He lost the title to this guy, Clubber Lang. And at some press conference or something, Clubber Lang injured his trainer Mickey somehow, who was an old guy. I'll forget exactly what happened. But Clubber Lang was somehow, at least indirectly, involved with the death of Rocky's trainer, Mickey. So Rocky's this sad guy, lost the title, his trainer's dead, forlorn. He needs to train, he needs to train for the rematch with Clubber Lang, but he's too sad to do it. What does he need to do? He talks with his wife, Adrian. He processes the sadness with his wife, Adrian. He goes down to go up. He Jean Valjean's his emotions. And now he processes it, and specifically what I mean by process it is he experiences the sadness from a lot of different angles, which we can only really do, again, like with managing anxiety, we only really do in the presence of another person, specifically with a face right here. And maybe the face needs to be this close. It might get weird, but that's how we train our neurology to feel the anger, to be motivated. Processes the sadness with his wife, Adrian. The feminine nature of woman, crucial for doing this, crucial for becoming conscious. And once he's conscious with his sadness, becomes anger, and he's ready to go fight. Trains with Apollo Creed, runs on the beach, has a baptismal scene. It's awesome. And this is what we do. This is anger. The next video, we're going to talk about this. Then we're going to talk about this. Stay tuned, guys, and help me rechristen the worst thing about us, supposedly, into the best thing within us.